Hello friends, hope everyone is doing good. Today we will be discussing about the Oracle internal topic that will be GNS, that is Grid Naming Services. Okay, so let's get started. So if we talk about, GNS is specifically towards how the client or the application team used to connect to the database itself. So currently we are talking about the cluster node, okay, and the rack nodes. And in this particular diagram, I'm taking example of 3 node cluster. So in a traditional way, in 10G R1 or release 2, you guys might be knowing that as TNS names file was the file clients used to configure on their personal PC or computer or laptop, whatever it is, right? And they used to provide the node name or the virtual IPs, okay, to directly connect to the specific node, right? What if one node goes down? What will happen if one node is added? So there used to be a lot of problem, right? They used to always use easy connect and TNS names, okay, to connect. So that was the traditional way of communicating to the database, okay. But that has huge issues. That is the reason scan as well as GNS brought into the picture, okay. Both scan and GNS brought in 11GR2 as the you can call it a huge feature which actually resolved many issues, and it is used till now. And it is kind of, a bells and whistles of Oracle database itself, and the connectivity, and you can call the way to connect to the database, okay. So this is how client used to connect to the rack nodes, okay. And this is what the TNS names.ora file looks like in the client computer. Hope everyone might be knowing about the TNS names.ora file, okay. Now what will happen if the cluster node become more, right? It's kind of horizontal scaling, where we are scaling horizontally, adding more nodes to the specific cluster. What will happen to the client side? So the client will need to actually change the TNS names.ora, change the IP addresses. Even those things has to be updated and properly communicated from the DBS to the application teams, right? So that was an issue as well. Now comes the GNS, okay. So what GNS actually does, the GNS feature being that it will collect all the node names, okay, and the cluster name, okay, that's defined here. This is the cluster, 5 node cluster. So GNS is in the middle. GNS is a service, it's a cluster aware service, okay. When you install the Oracle clusterware, GNS will be available. For that you need to activate some specific stuff. I will tell you what all those are required. So this is the 5 node cluster, okay. So GNS, what it does, it dynamically collects. So how it works is it dynamically collects all the node names, okay, and the cluster name, and it provides to the GNS, okay. GNS gets that, it routes that information to the DNS server, okay, and then DNS finally replies to the client who are thinking about connecting to any specific node. Let's say one more node is added, right? They do not know, right? And what will happen if if suddenly 4 node or 3 node, all those 3 nodes are down, right? They do not know what to configure. For that reason GNS has been brought in. GNS is completely dynamic. It actually collects the information as provided in the arrow, and it sends to the DNS, and it gives back to the clients, right, for the more information, okay. Now as you can see that we are specifically talking about more features here. So we had been talking about GNS, but there must be a DNS server as well here, okay. A DNS server is pretty much required to actually configure the scan as well as. So if you want to configure the scan listener, okay, or a scan in your environment, because from 11GR2 scan is is mandatory. So if you want to configure the scan in the home environment, you can configure the scan and the 3 IP addresses into the hosts file, but in the real environment that all needs to be configured and communicated with the network engineer, and they will configure that particular scan name and try and configure the scan name to the 3 IPs, so that when you eventually query ns lookup with the scan name, and it will do, it will give you the 3 IP addresses. Okay, that's how it used to happen. Okay, then came the GNS, and then everything got changed. So there are now 2 features. DNS, you can still use it without using the GNS. Okay, but GNS is more dynamic. Okay, so what will happen is when the nodes are getting added, you do not need to actually assign the IP addresses. That is taken care by DHCP server. I will tell you about that. Okay, and that's how the clients are able to connect. Okay, so information has been sent from GNS to DNS to finally users, and then users have the information. Now they don't have to go back to DNS, they can directly connect to the specific node. Okay, we will actually elaborate this particular picture in more detail. Now this is GNS and how specifically it's configured in the environment. When you want to actually configure it, there are some specifications. So specification being, you need to get one public IP that will be for the GNS virtual IP. Okay, VIP. GNS VIP and GNS resource actually runs on the cluster. Both of them are cluster aware and cluster resources. Okay, so you need to actually remember that, and we will talk about more about that. So you need to collaborate with network engineer. Okay, get one virtual IP that will be public IP, it cannot be private IP. Okay, you need to actually collaborate with network engineer and get and cluster domain name as well. So let's say the domain name is example.com, so it can be part of that particular domain or can be subdomain as well. Okay, if you guys know about a domain, then domain is .example.com. okay, or can be whatever, right? .oracle.com is a domain, and then any resources under it falls under it. So this is cluster 01, it falls under example.com. okay, so you need to make sure to have this cluster the part of particular domain. Okay, and this has to be registered into the DNS, and you need to make sure to inform that network person to forward whoever is actually requesting this cluster 01.example.com, forward that request to that GNS virtual IP. This is what it's mentioned here. So this is part of cluster. So let's say the cluster name is cluster01.gns.example.com. okay, so you need to make sure that in the name.conf file, so this will be done by network engineer at your home. You have to do it, but in the real environment, the DBAs actually or the database management team actually goes and talk to the network engineer or the network team and provide them this information. What they will do, they will configure this particular name to forward this request to this IP. okay, so this will be the IP. okay, this will be forwarded. Okay, I hope you guys are understanding. So again, this is the cluster name is cluster 01, but I already said that cluster 1 needs to be part of domain to configure the GNS. okay, this name will be configured in the DNS. okay, and this particular name will be the name whoever is actually querying this 01. So who will be querying? The users will be querying. So if the user is querying cluster01.example.com, okay, that request will be forwarded to GNS. okay, always. So let's move on. Now, as I already said that cluster GNS daemon, okay, and GNS VIP resource are part of cluster. Okay, cluster. Okay, these are the cluster managed resources. Okay, and the GNS VIP listens on port 53 for DNS. Okay, DNS request. Okay, whatever this user's request, right? The user will be directly contacting the DNS server, and DNS server will eventually, route the request to the GNS VIP. Okay, and one more important thing is GNS VIP only runs on one node. GNS daemon runs on only one node. Okay, because this is cluster aware. Okay, let's say if this particular node where that particular GNS VIP and resource and daemon is running, if that fails, then those resources will be started running on other resource. Okay, good. I hope you guys are understanding. So let's move on. Now the question comes, how the GNS gets cluster name and node names, right? That is the big question. How it collects those information so that to pass down to the DNS and eventually to the users, right? So how do they collect it? If the new node is added, let's say, right? Then the question comes, how these informations are collected. So this information and this question will be resolved in next slide. So during this cluster startup, right, on every node Aura root agent is also started. Okay, and this Aura agent has the responsibility to contact DHCP, okay, and contact DHCP and get the node VIP and scan VIP, because as I already said that in the GNS environment you do not need to configure the IP addresses, okay, for the VIP and scan VIP. For the DNS, okay, for if you are just configuring DNS and scan, right, we used to configure all those things, but for the GNS environment you just configure the local environment or local IP addresses, right? You do not need to configure other stuff. So what will happen is when the Aura root agent start, right, it will ask for the node IP, node virtual IP, okay, because virtual IP is cluster resource, okay, and the scan IP, scan virtual IP from the DHCP, right? Now DHCP has the IP addresses range to lease, so it will provide that IP address, okay, to the Aura root agent. So now it has the IP, it will pass down that IP address to the GNS, okay, it will pass down to the GNS, okay. So now GNS has that information, okay, so it will register that information. So this is very important point, that to configure the GNS you need to have DHCP apart from DNS, right? So DNS must be there, but the DHCP is most important thing. If DHCP is not available, Aura root agent won't be able to collect anything and pass down to GNS. So DHCP is also very important, okay. So this is the functionality of Aura root agent. Let's move on. Now this is important, you need to make sure you remember this, that activating GNS requires DHCP on public network, okay. Now the question comes that Aura root agent has collected the virtual IP and scan VIP, okay. Now how do you resolve the scan name to IP to name? That is the question, right? How do you get the host names, right? How do you collect the host names? So this is how it's collected. So every node has MDNS process. This is also cluster aware resource, okay, cluster resource, cluster service running on each and every node, MDNS service, okay. So what it does is it actually resolves host name to address, okay. So whatever, so it actually looks up. So MDNS service has the functionality of looking to the interfaces, finding out the IP addresses and resolving those to the host name, okay. So if MDNS has the information, it passes that information to the GNS as well. So we already learned that Aura root agent functionality is to collect the node virtual IP and scan VIP from the DHCP. That's done. But for the IP to host resolution, MDNS functionality is used. Okay, MDNS already have an functionality of collecting that from the interfaces and actually converting that to the host name. Okay, those IP to the host names. So that part is done. So now GNS has all the information of host name as well as IP addresses. Okay, now finally the most important point is how the client connects to the GNS. Okay, don't don't worry about the complexity of this picture. We have already discussed most of it. So what happening here is, let's start from here. So as everybody might be knowing, or if nobody knows about it, okay, so what happens is, as we all know that, okay, so as we all know that DHCP is actually serving for the node virtual IP, okay, for from each and every node, okay, and providing that to the GNS, okay, and Aura root agent is providing, okay, so Aura root agent is actually collecting that from DHCP and providing that to GNS, okay. Now, so as we all know that scan listener, okay, so scan listener, what scan listener is the entry point of the cluster, okay. So we have understood about MDNS, we have understood about the Aura root agent, we have understood about the GNS, we have understood about the DNS functionality. Now the scan listener, okay. Scan listener actually runs on each and every, actually it's not on the each and every node, but usually it's configured as 3 and the amount 3, okay. 3 scan listeners are configured and 3 virtual IPs are configured, okay. That is the entry point of the cluster, okay. If somebody wants to connect to the cluster, they will actually interface with scan listener, okay. It is usually used for the load balancing, okay, and it actually redirects it to the local listener, which will be loaded, okay. So local listeners is running on each and every node, okay, but scan listener is running on the least loaded node, okay, or any specific 3 specific nodes, okay, whatever it is. So there are 5 nodes, right? There is no chance that these 3 can accommodate on all 5, so these 3 will be running on the least loaded node, okay. Now these scan listeners will have the same name, okay, as everybody might be knowing, then you will be providing scan name with whatever name it is, right, and it will be resolving to 3 virtual IPs, okay. And now what happens is, let's say, now the question comes that how users are able to connect. As we already know that there is scan listener, there is local listener, okay. Leave this part, MDNS, okay, and or a root agent, because we have already discussed local listeners run on each and every node, okay. It is actually specific to that node. That is the reason it's provided the name local listener, because it's running on every node. But scan listener is only 3 of them, okay. It's configured usually 3. That's what Oracle actually, you know, tells us, that if you want to configure scan listener, then you must configure only 3 scan listeners, okay, with the 3 IPs, okay. So while installing the clusterware, right, you will need to make sure that the scan listener information is provided in DNS, okay. So now that part is done. As we already know that one name resolves to 3 virtual IPs, scan listeners resolve. So when anyone does, so let's say the name scan, if somebody does NS lookup on that specific name, what will happen is that name, particular name will be resolved to 3 virtual IP, and those virtual IP will be used for the connectivity purpose. Okay, so let's talk about how users are able to connect using the GNS. So client particularly have the scan port and service name in the TNS names. Okay, they nowadays they don't use virtual IP, they use scan. Okay, because scan is for the load balancing. It is easier to connect. Okay, it used to be virtual IP, but you don't need to specifically connect to the node. So let's say somebody is if there are 2 nodes. Okay, so they are providing virtual IP1 and virtual IP2. I'm talking about the older environments, 10G and 11G release 1. They used to provide those 2 node names. Okay, let's say first node is down, so one virtual IP will be failed over to the another one, and user will be getting the prompt saying that that server is down, now user have to reconnect, right? And for that they need to actually provide all the IP addresses for the nodes whatever is available in that cluster. So let's say 5 nodes, right? So they will need to provide those 5 nodes, right? And if let's say in future DBAs update the node names, right? They update the instance name. So what they need to, or they update anything, then clients need to update their tnsnames.aura file to connect to the database. Okay, now in the current situation, because scan actually resolves to 3 IP addresses, so they don't need to worry. They just put the scan name into the tnsnames.aura and the service name where they want to connect. It's the burden of DNS server. DNS server actually looks up those information and resolve the IP addresses accordingly. Okay, so let's see how it happens. So client here is sitting. Okay, they are providing every information in the tnsnames.aura file. They are sending that, just a second, they are sending this. Client is submitting the DNS request. Okay, they're requesting for the scan. Okay, so that please let me connect to this specific scan name. Okay, that's what they will say. Okay, including the port and the service name. Okay, whatever the configuration they have mentioned. Okay, and they will submit it to DNS. DNS will be the first resource they will interface. Okay, now what DNS will do, DNS will directly, because DNS has information about the cluster name. Okay, we saw that in the last slide, right? The cluster name information is here, right? It will look up to the DNS request from the clients, and it will see that there is a cluster information. It will send that information to GNS. Okay, for the resolution. GNS will collect all the details, right? Whatever nodes are being added, already added, or new nodes have come in, but client still do not know. It's not burden of client to know anything. Client just know, one client must know only the scan name, right? So these will be burden of GNS. GNS, according to the different resources, will collect the information and provide that information. Okay, and the 3 scan VIPs, right? It will have the virtual IP names and the host resolution, and it will provide the 3 scan VIPs. Okay, from the scan listener. Okay, and it replies to DNS. DNS passes down those. Okay, DNS passes down the 3 scan virtual IPs to the clients. Clients take one of the virtual IP automatically and they directly connect to the scan listener. Okay, they use the scan listener. Okay, to directly connect to the least loaded node. Okay, now talking about the show parameter local listener, all these local listener are registered in the parameter local listener. Okay, and all these scan listeners are registered in remote listener, and by that specific parameter they would know that which is the least loaded node, and that's how, right? So there can be chances where this particular client has reached to this second one, right? it will accordingly find out which one is the least node loaded node, and it will let user connect to the particular local listener and to the database itself and to their services. That's how it's served. So GNS has specific functionality where it just have a specific functionality to collect the names and the virtual IP and the node names, right, of the upcoming server or whatever new server joined to the cluster. Okay, and it actually uses the MDNS functionality to resolve the IP address to a host name, right, and then it passes down all the information to the DNS. DNS has the cluster name information, and it has already a forwarder rule which will forward all the traffic directly to the GNS, right? Okay, because we are talking about GNS VIP, right? We have already talked about it, that GNS VIP resource runs on one node. Okay, and it gets all that information. It listens on port 53, right, for the DNS requests. So that's how everything gets resolved. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for watching.